Hey guys, it's Mongolian Mindset, and we got the whole gang with us today. We have Thomas and Shelly, and we have Ashley with us, and Ashley will be asking you questions. You don't have to go into any traumas, anything like that. Just feel free to give us whatever you want to, and we'll find your personality based off what you say and how you say it. Um, you'll feel free to whatever we come with, use it however you feel is needed. Okay. We're gonna try to get your Enneagram and your type. Um,
Okay.
you got any questions for us before we begin?
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect. All right, so can you introduce yourself, Ashley?
So yeah, my name is Ashley. I live in Utah. I actually know Melissa, and she's been wanting me to get typed for a hot minute.
Okay, okay. How'd you meet Melissa?
We actually went to high school together, so we're not like besties, but like it was one of those situations where you like knew the other person in school, but you didn't really get to like super know them. So I guess it's more of like an acquaintance that's turned into an online friendship over the last 15 years.
Hmm. So I gotta ask you a real question. How
Oh
was
no.
she in high school?
What?
How was she in high school?
Yeah, like I said, we weren't like friends in high school, but she's always been a theater nerd. But I definitely feel like she was more quiet in high school than she is now. But we also like grew up and have found our voices in ourselves, and she definitely seems a lot happier now than she did in high school.
Okay. So, what do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Like where I want to be, or
Just in general, what do you see yourself next 5 to 10 years?
I feel like that's hard to answer because I'm currently in survival mode with don't having gone through a divorce and stuff. So I'm kind of feel like I'm just kind of living week to week right now, and I'm not allowing myself to think about anything too distant future. Um, I hope to have more of my life figured out. Um, I hope I have more financial stability than I currently have, more education, um, and a better support network of friends and family.
Hmm. Okay. What do you think is something unique about you?
Unique. I've been told that I just tend to think different and I see like the world differently than a lot of other people expect to be normal, even though I guess I don't know what like normal is. So it's really important to me to be thoughtful and courteous, but I'm also kind of slow. So I try to have people elaborate when I don't understand, but I also try to read the room if I feel like if it's going to be more of a hassle that I'm willing to deal with, then I'll just pretend I know what's going on, then cause problems.
Hmm. Okay. What's a unique hobby you have?
Unique hobby. Uh, I don't really feel like I have hobbies, and I know that's sad. Because yeah, I'm a not quite a full-time single mom, but I'm the primary parent, so I'm still kind of lost in parenthood at this point in my life. My son is two. He's currently with his dad right now, but when I'm home, I just use that time to decompress and rest and relax. And um, yeah, I talk to friends. I'm gonna hang out with friends tonight. Only reason I'm like dressed up right now.
Hmm.
So I do play like one video game, but it's literally just one video game. I don't consider myself a gamer. I can go weeks at a time and not touch it.
Hmm.
So um, I do love psychology. I went to school initially to be a psychology student or to be a therapist, and realized that line of work would burn me out too much. So it's still like a major interest of mine, psychology and minds and how that works, which is
Mhm.
I'm in the group. But like as a form of work, I just have to find a balance between what I can handle versus how I feel like I can help people and be able to show up and not get burned out.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Um, you describe the best time in your life.
So many hard questions. Best time in my life. I think some of the best times in my life have been in times when I've been rediscovering myself. So I've been married and divorced twice. Uh, both marriages were relatively abusive. Um, and after that heartache, and I, was on my own to figure out who I was on my own. Those have been times where I found some really great friends, some really great support, had really great experiences I probably would have never had otherwise. Um, Being single just seems to open up being able to travel a little bit more too, at least for me. And yeah, just been able to meet people, learn things about myself, and go do things that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise.
Mhm.
So, um, and then a year ago, I left a really high demand religion. And even though like other aspects of my life have still been hard, people see me as the happiest I've been in a long time because I'm coming into my more true and authentic self. Um, and I just don't want to pretend to be someone I'm not anymore, whether it's because of influence of a romantic partner, a former romantic partner, or because of a religion that I once affiliated myself with.
Mhm. Okay. That's cool. Um, what do you think is something that stresses you out?
Sorry, say that one more time.
What do you think is something that stresses you out?
Um, Money, 100%.
How do you say money?
Um, I grew up in a scarcity home, and just with my life circumstances, retaining a job has been really hard for me. And um, yeah, it's just always been a paycheck to paycheck life. I don't know anything different. So when it comes to trying to pay rent to keep a roof over my head or making sure my car is working so I can get to work, those have been major stressors in my life.
Thomas, you got anything you want to ask?
Sure. If you had three wishes, what would you wish for?
Oh boy. Um, I know the wishes I would have made as a teenager because that was something I thought about a lot back then. But now it's I would love to go like on a nice luxury stress-free vacation because I've never done that before in my life.
Mm-hmm.
um, I would like to be able to help people in some capacity. I don't want to say like end world hunger because that sounds so Miss America.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would wish to know like a great way to implement better I guess, laws to protect victims of abuse and trafficking, because many laws are geared towards protecting the abusers and not the survivors. And probably to have like the mental clarity to help me get through the struggles that I have in my life so I can best live my life in a way that I'm thriving and not just surviving.
Now, what if, because you said you had like dreams as a teenager, what would those be?
Oh, yeah, those three wishes were easy things. Like, I wish I had $1 million. I wish I had no body hair on my body from like the eyelashes down, and a nice car.
Gotcha.
What's something that potential? Let's say if you were to go to jail for anything, what do you think it would be and why?
Uh, I almost went to jail for missing paying a speeding ticket once upon a time. But if I like did something deliberately knowing I was going to go to jail, it would probably be some form of money fraud or assault.
Why assault?
Because I have a lot of anger behind people who have abused me in the past.
Um, what do you think you need to be at your best?
What do I need? I mean, right now, I feel like the easy answer is money, because a lot of the struggles that I'm having right now is just because I don't have enough money right now. I was also laid off earlier this year and was out of work for quite a bit, and I went through everything I had. So yeah, money would help with a lot of certain stressors right now. But other things would be more like being closer to family, to actually have like support and help with my son, and have people I trust to be there when I feel like I need like a hug or something, because I live alone, and that gets really isolating. So yeah, more social, in-person social support, um, and money are probably the two biggest things.
Okay. Okay. If you could live in any time period, what time period would you live in? Future, past, present, and why?
Um, this is another thing I've thought about a lot. I know I asked my mom this question, and she said she feels like I would be in the future because she feels like I don't fit current times or past times. And I guess for me, I'm a very outspoken female, and I know more times in the past than not, a lot of women are uh, not treated well for speaking their mind. So I kind of feel like the time frame that I would want to be in would be if I were born like in the late 50s or early 60s. I also really love rock and metal, and I think it would have been awesome to see like Metallica and Iron Maiden and all those classic rock bands in their prime in the, 70s and 80s. And I think it would have been fun to be like a teenager, or in my 20s during that time frame. So I wouldn't mind being like 80 years old and on my deathbed right now.
Okay. Um, what's some of your interests? Top three interests.
I like, um, yeah, rock and metal music. Music's always important to me. Animals, and autumn. Like I love fall. I love the changing leaves. I love the cooler weather. I love pumpkins. If I felt brave enough to show you around my apartment, you would see pumpkin stuff like all over my apartment. So
Yeah, Shirley, you got anything?
How do you go about learning new things?
I like micro learning. I tend to get overwhelmed when I have too much information thrown at me. So taking, whether it's like finding posts on Instagram or finding blog posts on certain like websites or like short, like 5 to 10 minute videos. Um, that's my preferred method of learning. I also like learning from other people too in casual conversation. So if there's something that they know that I don't, that sounds interesting to me, I ask them more questions about it.
Yeah. How do you know what someone says is true?
Ooh, I mean, technically you don't, you know. I grew up very gullible, and so it's been a like a 20-year process for me to not take people at face value because my natural instinct is I just want to believe what everyone tells me, and because of a lot of hurt that I've been through in my life, I know I can't do that. So I have become rather skeptical. So I just try to ask lots of questions to see if the story like stays consistent. But I also try to read body language as well. But I also I'm trying to trust myself and like my gut instinct or my intuition. And if something feels off, then I want to honor that instead of ignoring it, which is typically what I've done in the past.
Do you find it difficult to make decisions? And why or why not?
Yes. ADHD.
Okay. What do you think is something a skill that everyone should know? If you can implement one skill to change the world, what would you implement?
Money management. Know how to budget their money, know how to save money, know how money works.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How will you handle chaos in your life?
If it's other people's chaos, I handle it really well. If it's my own, I try to view it objectively as if it's not me experiencing it. So I try to not react as emotionally or intensely. But if something goes on for a little too long, I eventually start having meltdowns and then have breakdowns.
Okay. If you could go back in time and do things differently, would you, and why?
Yeah. Um, I would just want to let my younger self know that like you can't trust everything everyone says and it's okay to say no. Yeah, I when I tell my life story to people, I've been told I should write a book. And I just feel like if I would have learned how to have healthy boundaries and how to honor myself, I could have avoided a lot of very painful things that I've experienced. And I know that like painful things help you grow, but there's just some things that I wish I just would have never experienced altogether.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you know what's important to you? How did you find what's important to you?
I feel like losing my religion made me realize what's really important,
Mm-hmm.
and that the religion made it seem like that had to be the top number one thing in your life, and you had to honor that before you had to honor yourself. And since I left about a year ago, my 1 year anniversary is coming up since I left. So I've grown a lot in the past year. Because you're always taught that like you're always being watched, and your thoughts aren't your true thoughts all the time. And how do you know what's your thoughts versus like God's thoughts in your head? And the fact that now that I don't believe in any religion and I don't believe in a God at this time in my life, and I actually am just like I'm me without this religious filter, has made me realize like what's actually important in my life. And that's my safety, my peace, my happiness, my boundaries, my son, um, making sure that his needs come first, and that I know how to manage myself with him, and letting him know that like I'm going to be there for you no matter what, and I'm not going to force some other unseen entity to be a vital part in his life when that's not important to his growth right now.
If you could have any kind of career, what would you want to have?
Ooh. I would like some kind of combination between like something creative because I need that, but also something that helps people. Those are two very important things to me because I feel like if I dedicated some one direction or the other 100%, I would feel like something would be lacking in my life. And I don't really feel like there's something out there that quite fits that bill. So I would probably be some kind of entrepreneur and would want to come up with ways that invoke both of those things. I did want to be a interior designer for a hot minute, but then I just realized, that's only doing things for people with money. And I'm like, but I want to help people. As much as I love designing stuff and that gives me satisfaction, it does miss the whole like I want to do something to help people. But then I also like helping homeless people is something that's really important to me. So I also thought about like being an architect and building like some shelters that benefit society in as a whole, but then also benefits the homeless people because they're the one that need it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
What do you think the biggest problem with humanity is?
Selfishness.
If you could go to any country, where would you go and why?
Oh, I can't remember the country now that I'm on the spot for it. Where Lord of the Rings was filmed.
New Zealand? Is
Yes,
that
New
right?
Zealand. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't remember. So yeah, I just love countries that have like old, rich history that's older than America and is just lush and green and beautiful.
So, who's a famous person or well-known person that you relate with?
That I relate with. Um, so we're talking like a celebrity or political figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone well known, I guess. Yeah.
I honestly don't feel like I relate to anyone famous. Um, I don't know, like celebrities and famous people just don't mean anything significant to me. I mean, sure, I have like favorite movies and favorite characters, but characters are fake. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel like I have an answer for that one.
Before Mercer asked you like what stresses you out, but as a follow up to that, how do you handle stress? Like, what do you do to manage it?
I've been working on like my triggers for a long time. So when I realize I'm starting to get triggered, I try to be aware of that. So I'm like, okay, my heart rate's increasing. I'm getting frustrated. I'm starting to lose my thought process. Like, what made me upset? What's getting me riled up this way? And I try to take a step back and observe that instead of reacting.
Mm-hmm.
That's doesn't happen every time, but I try to make sure that there is some form of self-awareness. And when I realize like, okay, this is going to go from 1 to 60 really fast, and I know that when I get really triggered, I can say some really mean, horrible, terrible things, and I hate it when I do that. So I try to either like go on a walk or get away from the situation and at least breathe and make it so I can have my cognizant thought process back instead of like my angry, reactive mind
Mm-hmm.
mindset.
Gotcha. What are 3 words that your family or friends would use to describe you?
Um, honest, wise. I get called wise a lot. And I'll say different or unique.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And what would you like to be remembered for?
Not giving up.
Awesome. What would you tell anybody who was potentially going through a tough situation? What's the best advice you would give them?
That you don't have control over other people. You only have control over your reactions to how things either happen to you or how other people treat you.
Okay. Um, hmm.
What's your greatest fear?
Oh, you never share that publicly. um, for the longest time, it was losing my family. But in ways like I already have. Um, I guess right now, because I'm a mom, it would be losing my son or to have something like really horrific happening to him that could be preventable.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Um, how you guys think? How you guys ready?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, so I was just reading up on something. Congratulations. We're gonna go with this. So very early on, you're very direct, you're specific, concise, and to the point. So that eliminates 8 types. With that being said, you're also initiating, so you feel very confident leading or changing the subject. You're also outcome focused, I just said about direct outcome, initiating. So that's 4 types there. That's going to be your ESTJs, ESTPs, ENTJs, and ENFJs. You talked about being an outspoken female. That's pragmatic. Okay, I'm gonna go and slap you for pragmatic on that one. So with that being said, that eliminates you down to 2 types, ESTP or ENTJ, and you're a TEFI user. And you talked about another thing you talked about was implementation for the sex traffickers, for the I guess the survivors, I think, or is the laws for the I think I don't want to mess it up because that seems like it's very important.
I mean, with my experience as a past victim with various forms of abuse, it's just pretty clear that like in government and political or in court situations, the abuser is seen as innocent until proven guilty, and survivors are guilty until proven innocent. Mm-hmm. So laws are just more cited on protecting abusers than survivors, and that narrative needs to change. And I also know that kind of varies like per state, but in the state that I live in, that's how it is. Mm-hmm. So it needs to be more avenues, safety programs, and the ability for survivors to use their voices to actually be believed, mm-hmm. than not. Because so many throw out the whole like, well, what if they're faking it for attention, and what if they're lying? It's like, yeah, those situations do happen, but that's less likely than it is the abuser lying about not actually hurting someone when they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was very like implementation. So that was very systematic, a very systematic point of view. You talked about methods and stuff like mm-hmm. procedures, laws, things like that. You also know what you love. You talked about the rock and roll. You really love that. You talked about the pumpkin stuff as well. That's more TEFI. You like learning from other people. That's more of an SE approach. You kept harping back on money. I'm of yours. So it looks like it looked like they kept going back to your lust sin. So we got you down as an ENTJ. And while I was quiet over here, I was looking through the different types of the 8s, because we believe you're Enneagram 8, which is the leader, the boss, the protector, the challenger, whatever you want to call it. We're trying to figure out exactly what wing you were. I think I'm going with W9. I think you're more chill, as opposed to somebody like myself who's kind of like more aggressive, more adventurous, more like that. But so I'm an 8W7, you're 8W9. You're going to stand up and protect the people that you feel like you need to, and you're able to mediate that when you need to as well. So it got you for 8W9. And when I was in the book, I was going back and trying to figure out exactly which 8 you were, because there's 3 different types. There's the self-preserving one. There's the counter, which is the social 8, and there is the sexual 8. And I was trying to figure out exactly which one lined up with you, and it's the counter. So you'd be an 8W9 counter, and they handle things a lot. I mean, they handle things different. They can counter the sin of lust. They're a lot more loyal people. I mean, I can read like a this 8 archetype rebel against social norms, but this social 8 is also oriented toward protection and loyalty. They express lust and aggression in the service of life and other people. So they're more like people focused, as opposed to like myself. It's more like ambition focused, like it's just my team and fuck everybody else.
Yeah.
You're more like generally wanting to help other people overall. I'm more like it's just my team and everybody else. If you're not part of the team, I don't really care. So yeah, you'd be a counter. So got you for 8W9 counter, ENTJ.
Okay. I would say the only thing that surprises me is the E part, because typically I've gotten an I on past ones, but I know I'm like ambiverted and I'm on that line. So I'm more like kind of like a 60-40. I've gone back and forth on E and I, but I typically get I.
So the thing about E and I that a lot of people get wrong is that what it means is that people who are extroverted like to initiate conversation, right? So they like to initiate the conversation with people. Like if somebody's walking down the hallway, how often do you think you would say something to a random person?
I say hi sometimes, but I usually don't. It also depends on whether or not I know the person too.
Mm-hmm. Well, like these two down here would probably walk past you and not even recognize you. These two,
Like
but
9 times out of 10, yeah.
yeah, they just walk right past you like you don't even exist. So
Exactly.
that's INTJs for you. But yeah. You got any questions for us?
Should I write this information down or will that be sent to me?
You should write it down. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
upload the video and everything, but you should definitely write it down. 8W9 counter ENTJ. And then
Okay.
probably do your own research on that and see if it sounds like you. I kind
Okay.
of feel that you were a very opinionated person in the group though,
I
because
am very excited.
Uh-huh.
you don't mind initiating on comment. That would be a sign of extroversion as well. You don't mind like initiating on a comment. You don't mind speaking your mind. You don't mind giving your opinion. Very ENTJ like. And if
If
you,
it does help, I lurked on that page for several months before I started commenting.
Mhm. Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't come in, doors blazing. I watched for a while before I interacted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do some we say controversial things here and there. We got to spice it up. It can't be just a super boring group. So
Definitely not boring.
and I mean we have to push the envelope so that people learn. And I may have an interpretation of things that is wrong, and maybe you guys say something that's right. Me and Thomas, like a lot of people live life through their own lenses.
Yeah. Oh, everyone.
So like sometimes Cynthia posts something that I find very enlightening and helps me with situations in my life. And I'm pretty sure I probably help a lot of people with the stuff that I post as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
I had a cat on my lap for the last like 20 minutes, so I'm gonna go grab a pen so I can write this down.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
I wonder if that's like an ENTJ like strategizing kind of thing where they like you've said where like you'll kind of survey things before you take action,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like so you want to gather data, see what's going, what you want to feel things out first before you start making moves.
Mm-hmm. Once I
Yeah.
once I start feeling
because you because you're strategizing, basically.
Mhm.
Okay, so we said
TJ.
ENTJ.
So what that means is you're direct, you're outcome, you're systematic, you're pragmatic, your TFI user and a SENI user, and you're abstract. Okay, that's why you always been told that you think differently than everybody else. But yeah,
Yeah,
and you're
kind of rare.
yeah, very rare for women, very rare. It's like the rarest type for a woman.
Oh,
ENTJ. Yeah,
that's good
um,
to know.
yeah, extremely rare. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
I've also been told a lot, especially in the dating world, that I'm not like other women, and I've never known how to respond to that.
mhm, yeah.
Okay, so
Do,
what
do,
were
Hmm.
do you get told that you're bossy?
I wouldn't say bossy, but because I have a very direct approach, I get told that I'm rude a lot, and I'm like,
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
I'm like, if I wanted to be mean, it would not sound like this. It would be a lot meaner.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're 8W9,
So 8W9
and you're gonna be a counter.
counter. Okay.
And yeah,
So that was the two, the ENTJ and the 8W9, or was there one more thing?
and make sure to put counter.
I did.
Because you're countering the sin of lust. Um, it's still there, but it's not like as apparent as somebody like myself, where it's just like overpowering. Like I'm just like, if I have one thing, I want the next thing and the next thing, and I don't care. Like if I have something, I achieve something, it means absolutely nothing to me. I'm on to the next thing. So that's lust. Hardcore lust there.
Okay.
But any questions for us?
I don't right now, but if I did later, like I could message somebody.
Yeah, sure.
And what was everyone's names again? So I know you're Mercer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Thomas.
Thomas, okay, because I haven't seen your name pop up, so you're a newer name and face to me.
Okay.
And then that's Shelly. Shelly, I think she's gone. I think she's doing something.
I'm here, but
okay.
Stuff.
All right. Well, thank you. You have a great day.
Okay, thanks you guys.
All right. Yeah, have a good one.
Okay, you too.